Well, welcome to the sixth week of Easter. It's Monday, May the 6th, 2024. I'm Gloria, the host of the Manna at the Tap podcast. This podcast is dedicated to providing daily spiritual nourishment, and it invites us to come for manna, the heavenly food we need to feed our spiritual life. The text for today is Psalm 93. It's a 5 verse, 3 stanza hymn found in the Psalter. While no title is given, it was likely composed during a time when another hostile nation was threatening Israel. The focus of this psalm is intended to instill confidence in God, focusing on God as the creator and sustainer of the creation and honoring the kingdom created for humanity. Its message is one of trust in God's sovereignty. Now, we began the sixth week of Easter listening as Jesus was in the upper room with his disciples, eating the Passover meal, but aware that trouble was on the horizon outside that room. He first taught them about their relationship and its intimacy, the same relationship he had with the Father and the Spirit. He told his disciples it would be the Spirit that would remind them of everything he taught them that night. His only command was that they love each other. As we reflect on the events of the sixth week of Easter, we can imagine the disciples' hearts filled not just with fear, but with a deep sense of uncertainty and trepidation about the events that were about to unfold. Their fear was readily seen as they exited the upper room and went out to a garden where they often went with Jesus. Psalm 93, verse 1 opens, Yahweh is King, or the Lord reigns. As king, he has all the trappings of royal imagery. His garments are majestic robes of a splendor of the creation. Decrees are the official orders that the world is established firm and secure. God's throne was established long ago from all eternity. So the first stanza of this hymn, comprising of verses 1 and 2, announces the stability the world enjoys because of the direct result of God's rule. Verses 3 and 4 focus on the gift of water in all its noisy abundance. There is a vivid image of the seas having a loud noise as they lift their pounding waves. The floods are also roaring and lifting their voices. The vast loudness of the waters as they crash and pound the shore points to the mighty work of a big, expansive, and loud God. The final stanza, verse 5, places God's decrees as part of God's vast kingdom. Here we have God's commands and statutes that stand firm. They are holy and they adorn God's house for endless days. Psalm 93 may have been in Jesus' thoughts as he faced his hostile arrest in the night. When Judas came, kissing him as he identified him to the Roman soldiers. Then there were the first 3 trials at the hands of the religious leaders, followed by the trials before Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor of Judea. After questioning Jesus, the religious leaders handed him over to Pilate early on Good Friday morning. Pilate wanted to know from the religious leaders why they were bringing Jesus and what were their charges they had against him. And then he turned to Jesus and he asked Jesus if he were the king of the Jews. Jesus' response was such that he wondered if the question was Pilate's idea. Pilate was caught off guard and challenged Jesus, asking him if he were a king. Jesus, thinking of Psalm 93, told Pilate that his kingdom was not of this world. His kingdom was from another place. His birth was because he came into the created world to testify to the truth. One of Jesus's I am statements is, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Pilate had the opportunity to have a genuine and authentic conversation with Jesus, but he was trying to please the religious leaders and secure his own political future. His final words to Jesus were, "What is truth?" But he never took the time to have the conversation with Jesus. His discussions were with the religious leaders who were angry at Jesus. Pilate had Jesus flogged, and then he mocked Jesus as Jesus came out wearing a crown of thorns and a purple robe. Then Pilate introduced Jesus as, "Here is the man." Jesus was calm amid the religious leaders' anger and Pilate's uneasiness because he knew his kingdom was not of this world. Jesus knew the truth of who he belonged to. And the question we should consider when we become frustrated with the troubles around us is to ask ourselves if we know whose kingdom we belong to. If we are part of the kingdom of God, then we know it is secure and we are loved by a divine family who wants us to love each other with their love.